Viraxis joined your channel Classic WoW on the
officer
server.
Meetings, but
Addix joined the server.
no full guild meetings unless there's like.
Addix joined
something
your
we need
channel
to
Classic
talk about
WoW
as
on the
guild.
server. Message sent.
Oh, last minute Google Docs. Let's go. Oh, there's more in this than you said there was gonna be, Pro.
Pro said he didn't have a slideshow, but I think he's making a slideshow.
It's done.
Oh,
I just linked
it.
Oh, jeez. Of course it's done.
There it is. Okay.
He was
Page we on?
expecting.
Is this thing on?
It's on.
Okay.
Is this a safe link?
Alright, so everyone open up that link. Follow along as best you can. It gets tricky.
There's a lot of slides in this one too. So
Yeah.
I can't open the link, so I'm gonna need somebody to fully describe everything like I was blind.
Oh gosh.
It's kind of small and hairy.
So it's the first page says Toxic Guild Meeting Val, August the 14th, 2019, and it's being presented by the guild leader Pronator.
And he still has that ugly symbol up in the corner.
We have to fix that tag to the new one.
Yeah, we do.
But that's there. Alright,
It's not our
the floor
stationary anymore,
is yours.
Pronator.
You may have the floor.
Just don't pee on it.
Okay, everyone can go to page 2.
I'm already on page 4.
Yeah.
Page 4? No.
Oh, skipping ahead!
Page 2 is really important. It's the itinerary. It lets us know what page we should be on next.
Oh, of course.
Oh, Pro's just putting the graphic on there. Meeting can't start yet.
Okay, perfect.
Just puts it
That's
over
great.
the other one.
That's awesome.
And that's definitely starting to look toxic now.
Now we can start.
Alright, go ahead.
Alright, so we'll talk tonight it should only be like half an hour, 45 minutes maybe. We'll talk about recent changes that a couple of Realm Editions Blizzard added. We'll talk about the professions that we want to funnel. Chubb just brought up to me that Warcraft logs is going to be live logging. And I don't know if there's other sites like that are like kind of mainstream. Like World of Logs, is this the same thing as Warcraft logs? I'm not sure.
World of Logs is, yeah, the main one.
It's probably different.
No, World of Logs is long dead. Warcraft Logs is the main one.
Oh, Warcraft Logs took over for World of Logs?
In Cataclysm?
No. We were using them still in MOP and after that.
Maybe MOP, yeah.
Either way, that's already like a thing, so that'll be a thing. That'll be amazing.
Alita joined the server.
Yeah, it looks like
For people
joined your
unfamiliar
channel
with
Classic
live
WoW on the
logging is,
server.
it means when you tell us you didn't do something, we can physically watch to see what you did. It'll show us a little blip on the map and shows exactly what you did and the abilities you used and where you were standing.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as your
yeah.
connection is decent, you can live log.
Poor lip.
Yeah.
You're saying I should have a shitty connection.
Yeah. No, they're
It has nothing to do with your connection. The person live logging.
Message
the person
received.
has to have the good connection.
and then we'll talk about schedules. I have something for you to fill out again for that week 1, because before we filled this out is like kind of just give me your general schedule. Now we want to see like if you are off or are not off, let's get the week 1 schedule so we can really
Don't
figure
have
out.
that schedule yet, Pro.
Well, everyone else does and Chubbin.
No, I have my schedule.
Well, you
At work already.
I've already started back to work.
Message
you should
received.
know about when you're going to be available. Your way.
Also, I'm going to add something to the end of that itinerary once that's done. I'm going to
Message
talk about a
received.
little bit of the stuff that I've
Message
learned
received.
from the Discord on Fairbanks and some updates on our server that we're going to be playing on.
And then, obviously, next Wednesday is our final guild meeting, and then we will be disbanding. Just kidding.
Re-rolling.
Hell
Just
yeah.
kidding.
Woo.
That's like
This is
final
just
guild
a
meeting
prep
Message
for
after
received.
like
This is all just getting you ready for Classic.
it's like our 15th one without actually playing. It's
Message
crazy.
received.
20. Silly. So thank you for like sticking out, but we're almost there. Alright, moving on to
Message received.
slide 3. Again, final schedule we got this week and next week, and then go live is on Monday.
Message
I can't wait
received.
till the 16th.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I put that in. I didn't put it
Yeah, you
in.
will.
Never mind.
You're little, Pro.
Yeah, I'm still
Message
waiting
received.
for free butt plug day. What?
Yeah.
I actually
it's been
got that
updated.
name.
Message
Can you send me a
received.
T-shirt? Can we still get the T-shirt?
Can I get a T-shirt with a butt plug on
I
it?
want the butt plug now.
Millar, I'm sure you have a plethora
Message sent.
of butt plugs.
I told you
Message
that in
received.
private.
Message received.
Okay, that's
Oh
pretty sick.
gosh. Yeah, can we all log into like Northdale and then just delete our tunes in front of everyone?
I tried to get people to do that last night. They wouldn't do it.
I will
I'll
not.
do it right now with the
I will
binding.
not. I'm gonna keep playing on North.
You're not the only one that worked for that binding,
Yeah.
Michael. Don't do it.
That's true. Like
I'll trade it to you first.
Okay.
Nice.
we don't want to like pay because it's too expensive, so we'll probably end up just going back to private soon.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. And again, this past, well, we'll talk about it, but I guess we can talk about it now. So on Monday of this week, the character creation opened, and it was intense. It was awesome. There wasn't a whole lot of issues we saw. Now, other people, like on the other servers, had, I'm sure, a lot more issues, but we had pretty much all, like, for everyone that was there, the first 5 minutes, everyone pretty much got all their names. There was a couple that we missed, but for the most part, it was really successful, which we were really, panicked about. Because it's like, hey, this is like a big deal. Even though it's like not a big deal, it's a big deal because don't get your name, it's going to be like, yeah.
A lot of us have gone by these names for years.
Yeah, we really wanted to like try to keep it like, we wanted everyone to know, but we also didn't want everyone to know because there are trolls out there and we have made enemies or people that just, didn't jive with us every now and then. Mostly
I don't think we
Michael.
made enemies. It's more like we met trolls.
Yeah.
They didn't appreciate
We've
us
made
very
enemies.
much.
The guild named Toxic made enemies? What?
We started back before we were toxic.
Yeah, actually, we never really had like a guild enemy.
Untold story.
Told story.
Well, they certainly weren't our
Aragon?
enemy, but they were just a great target for us. Because they were like
Message
that weak
received.
stepchild, like Alar type person.
I think we may have been their enemies, but I don't think we really thought of them as our enemies. if
So we were
talking
just
about them.
bullying them.
Well, they just kind of happened to be raiding at the times we were raiding,
What?
and they happened to get wiped by us a few times.
You guys are jerks.
There was that one
He's
day,
like-
Michael, where we planned to come to raid an hour early. Wipe a specific guild. Do you remember what guild that was?
It's-
was a good
wait,
day.
no, it was on our off night. We came on our off night to raid Blackrock Mountain.
Yeah. All right.
We'll have to do that again. That was a lot of fun that night.
What do we got going on here?
Okay,
Are we on number 3 or 4?
let's go on to 4. This will be what we kind of need to hash out as a guild. So while leveling, we're going to have professions. Obviously, everyone wants to have them, but if we funnel certain things to certain people, then we can reap rewards faster. Kind of want to maybe get, if you know, like of something specific, and then, like, for instance, like, hey, alchemy might not be great, but it might be like, there's not really a point to funnel alchemy stuff to someone, like, because you don't really use it from 1 to 40. Or maybe it's like, oh, we could definitely use potions.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be bad to funnel some to whoever's gonna be maining, like, the flask maker. Because if they hit 300 and, like, the first group goes into one of those dungeons and gets a flask recipe.
Don't use flasks early.
Well, I mean, most likely it'll be a guild run anyway, so we can just save it.
We'll be stocking the flasks.
I think it's more about, like, the first couple days you're talking about pooling somebody, right? Like day one and a half.
It'd be more, but also like enchanting is a big, because if we can have Crusader pattern like 4 days in ish, but enchanting is hard as hell to level on your own, sort of thing.
Just back to tailors and green stuff to enchanters. Just put them on the guild shield, the guild masters of the day.
And we're thinking really mostly for the tailoring for bags for everybody.
Yeah,
bags is the big one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think tailoring is the biggest.
We had somebody say they wanted to be the early tailor.
That's the thing, though. So a lot of people are like, "Oh, I really want to be the guy." That you may not actually want to be this guy that's going to be sitting there and spending a lot of time smashing out bags.
Make a lot of gold early too if you get specific patterns. There's a bunch of low-level shadow damage patterns, a bunch of low-level frost damage patterns, and then there's the star belt. You didn't hear me say that 3 times already.
Wow.
That can all make you like hundreds of gold before you even hit like 40.
So there's most likely all the mages and probably the warlocks are going to be tailoring. Do the priests roll tailoring?
Yeah, they do it and then drop it.
Okay,
they just want to level like bare bones to get to 300.
Because we could definitely work this out right now for the most part. Like, is there someone here that doesn't mind being basically the tailoring bitch at the start?
So what I see is, I see we need a tailor to funnel for sure. Enchanting would be great to funnel, but it's not like a critical thing until we get a higher. But like the first few days, tailoring for sure. Leatherworking could be a good one to like, skinners can funnel to leatherworkers who funnel to like the enchanter to deep sort of.
Yeah, we could funnel stuff to the
because we also still want the enchanter to have. I mean, if we could make wands at low levels, that would be great as well.
Yeah, but say if you could somehow get an enchanter like to the 70s before level 10, that's going to require a lot of coordination, but that also cuts down on a lot of people's leveling time too that early.
Message received.
Because, like, as good as the level 5 wand is, that wand you get at 13 is, like, that much better. Like, how good it is, the level you can get it. Level 5 wand is, like, slightly better than, like, a level 12 quest wand.
Message sent.
Yeah, pretty much looking at
this.
this.
One to get up that quick, though, is leatherworking.
Yeah, looking at this list,
yeah, but that also requires 2 people.
The main thing here is pretty much just tailoring, and then anybody with greens and stuff, we can get our designated enchanter set up and stuff. Who's going to be like probably our main enchanter, and we can funnel off greens to them and stuff like that, and funnel items throughout.
It's going to be.
Now for tailoring bags, like when we were doing the stress test, it was like, okay, we got 6 slaughters for 5 silver. That's like really cheap. So 6 slaughters aren't a big deal. They shouldn't be a big deal. But what about like 8, 10, and 12, and even 14 eventually? That's where I think the tailor really comes.
Message
great.
Received.
So is that wool is 8 slaughters. We'll have that like practically day 1.
Dead Mind's time, yeah.
Yeah. Then silk is SM. So it's like, so we could have like 8 or 10 slaughters by like the first 36 hours.
And keep in mind, Alliance has access to some really good bags from quests after they get hit their 20 zones.
It's true, the one from Darkshire.
Darkshire and Wetlands.
Wetlands, yeah.
Message
Wetlands
received.
notoriously was hard to get on private servers. I have no idea what that drop looks like on.
Message
But
received.
also,
like
like,
phasing or
8
something
or
like
10
that
slots
for
is all that
overpopulation.
Is Darkwing Fair going to be a
Val
thing?
phone disconnected from your channel. Classic
Should
WoW
be.
from the server.
Okay.
Right
you
off
can
the
get
bat,
until
I'm not
later.
sure.
you can get a really good bag from that if you farm up some of like I
Message
think they're
received.
vibrant plumes you can get.
Somebody
in,
just said phase 3, so
Yeah,
by
it's part
then
of
we'll all
that,
be
yeah.
60 and
Message
have
received.
Yeah, because the
Travelers.
trinkets come with that, right?
So
There's
what
Darkwing
I
Fair trinkets, right?
Message received.
during when Darkmoon Fair comes out, so phase
Message
3.
received.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's Darkwing
Yeah.
Fair trinkets, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that, I was wondering why it would
Blue
be gated.
Dragon.
Received.
So that's the only reason it's gated.
Blue Dragon!
Or else they would have just had it
Message
at the start,
received.
probably.
Message
so
received.
really, besides like if you're a Skinner, you could funnel to like one leather worker. That would be great because then they could help the enchanter for wands. That's assuming wands aren't like. I mean, we might get into it, and wands might be stupid cheap on the auction house, and it's like it's not a big deal if we have one or not. But notoriously,
so if
they've
you're in
been
a
kind of.
pinch, level
But it
12
also-
quest in Dark Shore.
Yeah.
It's also going to help out the people who aren't trying to get out ahead of the pack and are getting a little bit late start. For them to have a wand at level 5 is really going to help.
Right. So we need, like Mike says, a tailor
Message received.
who's willing to.
Message
First of
received.
all, they have to have that first like week. They basically have to be off because it wouldn't make sense for
Yeah, it's totally true.
someone not be off. And then they also have to be willing to like put in that extra
Message received.
4 or 5
Message
or 6
received.
hours crafting.
Val Manway
Nice
joined the
little
server.
leveling.
Would love to sit in gold chair and do nothing.
Val
but make
Manway
things.
joined your channel. Classic WoW on the server.
Well, it's going to have
Need
to
to be a
get to
specific
20.
level to
received.
get to 20.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
some
gotta
of
be
that-
level
It'll be
20.
leveling. It's just it'll be slower in my main. If nobody's stepping
Message
up
received.
to it, I'm
I don't
Okay,
think we've
that's
asked
an
yet.
option.
Alt will
If
sit
no one
there
steps
making
up,
Val
bolts while
Manway
I'm
disconnected
running DM.
from your
Like, I
channel.
It's definitely
Classic
an
WoW
option
from the
if
server.
no one steps up, but I'm assuming somebody's gonna want it. If they're gonna go tail, and it's like easier leveling for you. It's just not as good for your leveling because there's stuff you have to be doing that you'll have to actually sit there and make bags for people.
I think
Val message received.
Doesn't look like
on
anyone's jumping
Monday,
at it
Yolt
right now.
said he wanted to do
Val
it.
Manway message received.
Yolt did.
Message
Can you
received.
hear me?
Like, if
Yeah.
Zeno is here and if he does come back, well, since we were living together, he planned on doing either alchemy or tailoring right at the start, but he's obviously not here.
Right, but
We
is he
don't
okay
know
with
if he'll
being
be
like the
here.
guild's bitch? Because it's not like he's gonna be making like 5 or 6 bags.
Right. But also thinking like that, like say you're like, hey, okay, I just finished, I'm done for the night. Then I sit there and I hit craft on
Message
600
received.
linen bolts or whatever. Like it doesn't have to be like while you're leveling either.
It doesn't. Like if you're about to have a 24-hour play session,
Right.
you know, I'm not gonna wait 24
Message
hours to
received.
get my 6-slot bag. I'm just gonna buy them.
Right.
Message received.
Yeah, I don't think. Again, I like the 8 slotters were like 25, so they weren't even too terribly expensive.
Message
from a
received.
vendor.
Until you try to buy 4 of them.
But then, at the end of the day, like, what does the
Message
auction house
received.
look like with,
Message received.
5 layers or whatever?
Man, I don't care.
I mean, you say that, but 5 layers, there's still five layers worth of demand, too.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't care to do it also, because there's a lot of times where I'm going to have my kids. It's not like I can be hardcore leveling. I could be working on Taylor.
What? They don't need a father.
Make them a mustard sandwich and be done with it.
There's a lot of times
Message
that, like,
received.
I'm sitting AFK because I'm having to do something for them, and I could just make bolts,
Yeah, that's not a bad idea then.
Dix, you volunteering?
Sure.
Are we gonna set it up so that we just donate whatever we want to the bank, or we need to send it to this player?
You can do one or the other. If you're looking to get a specific item back to yourself, I would send it to the player with like a little note. But if you're looking just to donate, I would just send it to the guild bank, and then it'll get sent over there anyways.
Like I said, Taylor guy, you can make money early outside of bags. In Stormwind, in the Warlock area, there's like 4 or 5 green pieces with plus shadow damage gear you can get that aren't too hard to make, that every Warlock will want to buy. And then there's a whole set of plus frost damage gear that you can get, and I have 2 of the patterns in my route for leveling, and one's just a random world drop. But also there's, like I said, the Star Belt, which every caster in the game will buy while leveling because it's best in slot till Blackrock Depths. You get it at level 30 something.
Are those patterns in Stormwind? Are they like on a vendor with limited quality, or?
The shadow ones, no. One of the frost patterns, yes. One of the frost patterns, no. And the other one, like I said, is a random drop, and so is the Star Belt.
Star Belt's pretty rare.
Yeah, that's a hard one to get.
Is that
It'll
Trigger?
be expensive.
It is Trigger.
Yeah, what's up, man?
Message received.
But Intelligent Closing, it's a Star Belt pattern. It'll be in the auction house for like 200 gold immediately.
He's playing Mage, Alex.
I know.
So Sticks, are you off that first week?
Yeah, I'm off. Well, I work Wednesday, but I'm gonna be playing from like 11 till 3, and then from like 4 till 6, and then from like 7 till midnight or 2. Like I'm gonna play while I'm at work, and then I'm off. I'm off Tuesday. I'm off Wednesday. I work that Thursday like that. I'm off Friday, Saturday. So yeah, I'm off the whole week.
Okay. Yeah, if you wanna take that on. Now, again, if we like right now we have like 40 people in TeamSpeak. If 40 people send him 5 linen, 5 wool, and 5 silk, like he'll get that up like super hard.
When leatherworking's the first.
How
is
hard
for-
will he get it up?
Wow.
Full chub? Or half chub?
Well, what I'm saying is like,
Explain what you're saying.
it might be too much for one person. Like at that point, it might be like, okay, we could have 3 or 4 people doing this.
Right, that's why they limit the Viagra. They say if you have
Oh
an
my
erection for more than
God,
7
bro.
hours, you're supposed to contact a doctor.
And the guild is in the gutter.
So anyhow, going forward,
Message received.
Sticks is our guy at least for the first like day or two, tailoring our bags, and we'll just go from there. See
So
what
it's
that
our
looks
job
like.
to get them hard.
Alright, Malar, cool down, bud.
Okay, anything else for professions specific?
Yeah, I'm just gonna make a note that we are gonna have designated, like, and a designated enchanter, probably designated tailor eventually, engineer, leather worker, blacksmith person, and alchemist. That will basically be the guild one, and that'll be later on. That's not for the initial stuff, that's gonna be later on. So basically, he's gonna get the initial patterns when it comes to certain things.
Right. So if you're an
So,
enchanter and you're like, I'm gonna get the molten core patterns, like, might, but probably not.
Well, just keeping, like, obviously keeping realistic with things here. We are going to keep things within the guild, probably with amongst the class leaders or the officers. They're going to put the most time in, they're going to be around the most, and they'll be willing to help out the most. Not saying that that's always the case or that there's other people that won't put in effort, but we are going to keep it that way for the initial patterns anyways. But after the very first pattern, then we don't give a shit. So anybody that has enchanting or anybody that has alchemy or whatever, something cool drops, you guys will be open to it. But the first ones are going to stick with the officers and stuff, people that we know are going to be here until the end, who have been here for 4+ years, things like that.
I know Wild's planning on being our armor smith. So we're gonna, obviously as we level, like, if you've never done that, that's hard to level. It's a lot of mining materials.
Message
required.
received.
Ditch to level.
She Pally?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you,
But it's for like our
you
tanks
from
and
day
stuff,
one?
so we can get it.
Yeah, she's playing day 1.
Is
I'll feed you right
Message
at the beginning.
received.
Thorium Brotherhood rep's gonna be out day 1, right?
No.
Don't
think
so.
The rep will be out, but the quests and stuff will be out.
Well, the items don't come out until 1.5 or 1.6 or something like that for a lot of the fire resist stuff.
Oh crap.
Whoever's level 45 in the beta now, go see if they can get Thorium Point quests, see which ones are there.
I was
think
talking
there's-
about FR stuff.
Yeah, the FR stuff, it's going to come off based off when it was released in the game.
It's
so
like
it's going to be phase
we're
3 or
gonna be
something like
using
that.
a lot of greens and like BRD blues and stuff.
Which comes to another point. During your leveling process in the high 50s areas, if you guys come across fire resist gear and stuff like that, please do not vendor it. Please do not sell it. Please ask the guild first if we need it. If they know the, because I'm pretty sure almost everyone, if Rag is working properly, well, I shouldn't say if Rag is working properly. If Rag works to memory,
Bonnie joined your channel.
everyone's
Classic
going
WoW
to
on the
need a
server.
level of fire resist. So somebody's going to have, I know the casters I think were a lot lower, the melee were fairly higher, and then the tanks were, you need to be capped.
We'll probably all want FR gear for Veil too, because if we need FR gear for anything in Molten Core, Veil is actually probably one of the worst FR
Sure,
bosses.
makes sense. So please do not throw that stuff away. Also, we have a list of items. It's not a clean list, but Pro made a list a long time ago with basically of all the important items in the game, like little things like elemental earth and little things like that that we're going to need for later on. Things like that. Again, please do not sell those items. Do not vendor those items, especially early on, because you will not get the value for them. You're going to sell them for way cheaper than they're actually going to get worth at the time. So certain items that we're going to list, please donate them or hold on to them, or just don't try and grab that quick buck early on. It looks like you can make a lot of money just from playing the game normally, doing quests. It's not like private servers, so don't squander that stuff. Like Essence, like especially Elemental Earth, that's the first thing that comes to my mind, because that shit's going to be pennies early on, and it's going to be super expensive. Especially for Alliance, we're going to need the Elemental Sharpening Stones. We're going to be using that shit like crazy. So please, little things like that, think of the guild first before you think of making that quick little buck, because we will make things easier down the road for everyone if we don't have to farm that kind of stuff in the bigger bulks, if we can get a big stockpile of that early on, because those are the things we're going to be farming on our initial 3 raid nights that are for farm nights. We're going to be farming things like that alongside Double Soar and other things like that. We're going to farm the pieces that are going to be cheap now, expensive later.
Yeah, I'll be tracking all of that, anything donated and stuff. I'll keep that open to everyone can see.
I was gonna say, where do we see this list?
That's why I said Pro we have it made, but it's not pretty, so we'll talk about getting that list up before we actually launch. Like, it'll be accessible.
We'll have it up for next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, so we want it to be visible to everyone, and just to be aware. It goes with the BOEs as well. Obviously, we did talk, there's some BOEs that it makes more sense just to sell them than to try and put it on as a piece that's just going to get upgraded right away. But there are some BOEs, like for instance, the Stockade Pauldrons, for instance, for me, I'm actually I would wear those to Blackwing Lair. I wouldn't actually get to upgrade those in Molten Core. So it's not like that's going to be a piece that I'm just going to toss away. That's a piece I'd wear for a long time. So little things like that. I know there's other pieces for once again, just quick off the top of my head items. Things like that we're going to try and save for the guild, to better the guild, to make things cheaper for people. More money in our pockets later than trying to drop it on having to buy that piece later on. Or buy that consumable.
Again, you're free to do what you want, but I've always felt it was like fair to say, hey, I have this thing, would you be willing to give me whatever of the auction house? If it's like, hey, give me 10 gold instead of 50, or give me whatever, or just out of the kindness of your own heart, or if you want to give it, like, you can like donate it to the guild, and we'll track that as well.
Message received.
Okay, let's move on to slide 5.
Message received.
This is the
background one.
Warcraft logs. Chovan's just like this. So they have this up, and it looks like it's ready. Does this just go off of your combat log?
No, you got to download a client, and Baz can explain it a little bit better than I can, but basically you download the client. There's 2 different options. Actually, there's 3. You can upload at the end of your run. You can upload multiple runs or whatever at the same time or whatever, or you can do a live real-time update, which is what I'll be running.
Are these based on, like, how private servers, they're all based on this add-on, like SW stats, or you're based on?
No, only one person has to log, and it'll get everyone.
Yeah, and it's the user interface is a lot different than that, Pro. It's a lot more mainstream, a lot more upkeep, and it just looks a lot more professionally done.
So is it based on the Warcraft like Blizzard logs
I have no idea.
themselves,
It's based
or is
off
it
the
based
logs
off?
themselves because I don't know what it does, but it is 100% accurate. Like this
Yeah.
isn't this is something all the top end guilds use. This isn't something that's just like fly by night private server
And you
crap.
can-
This is it's exactly 100% accurate,
And
and
the
we'll
thing
get
is, like,
everyone.
at the top, when you go to that website, if you go to the top left-hand corner, you'll see two little checks, one for live and one for classic. You can click on the live and play around on that and look at how detailed some of that stuff gets. One of the really cool features that I noticed when I was playing around with it all day today was, as an individual person, you can actually track your own stuff. You can upload your own logs for, little runs. Even on live, you can do 5-mans and stuff, which I don't know if it's going to work for classic or not, but you can even do target dummy simulations uploads to where you can see, and like your class leader can
Message
see, and if you
received.
need some help with maximizing your tank and spank DPS, you can see your rotation, you can see every cast that you do, like whether or not you're getting all your ticks on your dots or hots or whatever. It can be really useful if you want to put that much effort into it. But the option is definitely there for every person, whether you upload or not.
Yeah, and this thing's exceptionally detailed, as Chubbs was saying. It logs everything.
So I know in vanilla there was a setting to say, hey, my default range that I see logging, like that I see your cast, is 50 yards or something like that. There's a way to say, actually make that 200 yards. Is that something that will have to be done in Classic?
I was reading, on the forum it talked about that, Pro, and one of the things, simply because remember, the client is not the old client, it's the updated.
That's exactly what I was going to
so
say.
it's all kept in a memory. Everything that's happening in the encounter is kept regardless of where you are in it.
If it wasn't for the fact that they actually were using the new infrastructure, this Warcraft logs would never work. Like, you wouldn't be able to use it. Would be just like private servers having to make their logs. The only reason this works is it has to do with their new, like, I don't know if it's called the API or whatever it is, but whatever is in with the game itself. But the one thing I know 100% for sure on this thing is range doesn't matter as long as they're in the vicinity of the boss fight. Like, as long as they're in the spot where they're supposed to be.
Active in the encounter.
If they're active in the encounter, exactly. As long as they've done something, healed someone, attacked something. So if they had left the fight, it might not find them. But like, if you're there doing something, you will be logged for what you did.
Yeah, even at that, Michael, it's still going to get you, because if you're inside an instance, you're going to be in.
Yeah, his input leaf was doing something. Anyways, but yeah, this is the thing I was talking about for the longest time, that this will be an amazing tool for the officers and for anybody really. But it's an amazing tool to finally not have that over somebody, but basically say, do it properly, or we're going to know you did it wrong, or there's no way of arguing that, oh, I did this, or I was here, I did that. The live logs are ridiculous. They show everything, including your exact position and your movement.
And another good thing is, as a DPS, if you feel like you're doing everything you're supposed to do and you're still not doing the same DPS as your same class members, you can look to see what they're doing different than you.
Their breakdowns, yeah.
And you'll also should be able to see, I was looking on the forums, and it looks like they are going to be able to see, your armory part of it, to where it's even going to see your talents and your specs.
Right. The only other question I had
Message
was,
received.
I think Baz was saying only one person needs to up to live
Yes.
log. What if two people, is there like a problem if two people do it? Okay.
No, in my old build in Immortal Dream, there was like 7 people that live log, because how Chubbin said, if you have the add-on, you can go off and do your own personal logs, and it's a good way of simming your DPS without simming your DPS.
Gotcha.
And since it's done on the client side, it's not going to be different. It's not like it has to sync like ours, like it did on the old legacy logs or whatever.
So I'm sure this would be like a great way to really analyze. Be like, I think I'm doing good, but GSO is blowing me out of the water. Let me compare me to him exactly on this fight.
He's going to analyze himself.
Analyze you.
Yeah.
Or even like, hey, this other guy in this other guild in this other realm is doing much better than me. Let me look what he's doing compared to me. Oh, he's doing like 30% more cleave than me, or he's doing, like stuff like that.
Fight time is half the time of ours.
Yeah, certainly could be.
Message received.
Okay. So yes, we will be using that, and we will that's what we've been looking forward to. And private servers, we tried, but the client itself was not really good with logging, so it could only be so accurate. This will be pretty awesome. And also being able to see historic, here's how I did this week, see your trends and stuff based on my gear.
Message received.
It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to proper raid logs for a long time.
Alright, on
Message
to
received.
the next slide. So we got 2 links on here. We got the normal schedule, where you guys, most of you already filled this out, which is great. But we also want to fill out this first week schedule.
Message
because I know a lot
received.
of us are planning on kind of going dumb
Message
that first
received.
week. So if you can all fill that out and you have a little bit of time.
Can you make a box just to check off all of them?
No, I had to click every single one
Message
individually.
sent.
It was terrible.
That is terrible.
Normal.
Yeah, that's wow, dude. That's a lot of work.
Wait, what am I supposed to fill out? I'm lost.
You could just put a box at the very bottom that says yes, and just click on that instead.
What if you don't want to party with anybody?
Wait, didn't we already do this leveling schedule thing, or is this the new one?
This is for the first couple of weeks when everyone,
Okay.
a lot of people have time off.
Not your work schedule, but your actual that first week. When do you plan to be online, so we can make plans. Hey, you're online at 6 a.m.
Yeah, don't fill out Sunday. Start with Monday. Yeah.
It's okay.
But
Did
Sunday's
sleeping,
at
so
the
if
end
I
of the
know what
first
times I
week.
sleep.
But the first week doesn't start till Monday. I get what you're saying.
It doesn't either way.
I guess
I'll figure it out.
Sunday can be the next week's Sunday.
Yeah.
Sundays for the Lord.
Okay, so
Hey.
I'm gonna be on at 6 p.m.
If you know that you want to
Message
be
received.
Sleeping from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. or whatever, that's kind of the point of this.
Okay.
Because obviously we still need to sleep. Wow.
Be 5 hours.
2.
3-hour naps. That's 4 hours.
Did you fill it out? So just try to have this filled out the next day or two. And I'll reconvene, we'll add it, we'll put it out there so we can figure out who we're going to level with or who we're going to start planning. Let's do a 6-hour dungeon run on Monday night from 11 p.m. to whatever. That sort of thing. Obviously, we'll still all be in guild together, so we can kind of hash it out in game. But it would be nice to know ahead of time for some of this sort of stuff. All right, Mike, you said you had something else to talk about.
Yeah. So it has a lot to do with the world buffs and stuff like that. So in the Discord for Fairbanks, if you guys aren't in that Discord yet, I don't highly suggest you do it, but I would suggest you do it, just because later on they do plan to use that for professions across different guilds and what they have. And if you ever want to communicate with other guilds, or if you ever want to do any sort of things like that, it's fine for that. But I've mostly been using it right now just to kind of judge other stuff. But I'm in the lead chat so that they have a little discussion, and they had us all fill out what time the raid times were at for every guild on the Alliance side. For obvious reasons, we didn't do it with Horde and Alliance because you don't want to know the exact raid times. But anyway, so I linked it the other day. Let's see it. I think they've added to it. I think they turned it into a spreadsheet. Let's see if it ever actually got filled out. It sort of did. It looks stupid, but I'll link the white copy version of it. Anyway, so essentially we have
Message
that's the one
received.
that Bad Tank made for the lead area there. We have a lot of overlapping raid times.
You edited your channel classic.
We also have, unfortunately, a guild that if I think they're the guild that I remember, Adept. If they're the other guild, they are a good guild. I don't think they were amazing, but they were good, but also they will be dropping buffs. And they raid before everyone. 1 hour before we start, they'll be pulling. So they probably will be doing their buffs about an hour and a half before our raids start, I would suspect, something like that. And they do that on Wednesday and Thursday.
I mean, we could always have someone drop ahead like at 1 p.m. PST.
Okay, so I'm gonna copy this here again, which I copied before.
What? No one raids Friday? It's crazy.
So this, we're looking at TeamSpeak here.
It's funny that Wednesday and Thursdays are huge days.
I think, is everyone here in our Discord? Is there anyone here not in our Discord?
I think Wednesday and Thursday are big days.
If you go to Classic Discussion, I'm gonna link it now. What?
Was because of patching on private servers.
Could we buff like Tuesday night because no one's gonna play like Wednesday during the day? Everyone will be at work or something, and then we just get on and raid with our buffs and get raid.
It's an option.
Like late Tuesday night, we could drop any head or something.
So that's just a few that actually answered. If you guys look in, whoever is in the Fairbanks, you can see right now, obviously there are a few duplicates, but it says 40 Alliance leads. That's supposed to be one. You can assume at least 2 for some of the guilds here per.
So here's a question. We're all on different layers. Does that mean phase 1 is different layer world buff drops?
Well, there is no world buff phase 1.
Alright, because Oni
As soon as
doesn't even
world
come
buff
out,
yeah,
supposedly.
Exactly. So the only world buffs aren't going to start happening, except for Songflower. But other than Songflower, the only world buffs we're going to start getting is when phasing is supposedly removed. So we're not going to have any sort of extras of anything.
So Ani doesn't drop ahead, or what?
Correct.
Okay.
That's how it's supposed to be. No,
So that should be phase 2. Most likely it will be phase 2. If it goes based off of how they said. So anyways, my main point was there's lots, and then the other thing other than the world buff and the overlapping times of raids, which was obvious there was obvious thing, I can't get away from that. We are currently outnumbered, but it's not as bad as it initially looked, and could get better over time as the server fills. We were a low on the classic login. We were considered a low server, and then as of today we're now medium, so that means we're adding players still, and we could be definitely getting more alliance, but based off of a forum poll that had 5,000 tallies for our server, and just from the numbers in Discord, which has 1,500 members, the Horde is about 40-60 or 60-40 for Horde side, based off last number counts.
Now, if I look at the Alliance lead versus Horde lead counts in that same Discord, it's 46 Horde.
What's our raid days again?
You might be in the
Yeah, but don't count the double names.
Monday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Some people don't even have their names.
Most of the alliance
Like a
have
guild
2
or whatever.
people representing. Same thing's happening in the other one, but
We'll have better queue times.
yeah, I think 60-40 is not bad. It looked like it was going
Yeah,
a
queue
lot
time's
worse.
nice.
It looked like it was going a lot worse initially. Like
60-40 is what all of the other like polls that were filled out look like too.
yeah, so that's not bad, and if we can gain a little bit more alliance down the stretch and stuff, that'd be great. Just don't want to see it starting to get out of hand. So it looks pretty good. The only thing, lots of guilds, obviously. Looks like servers are going to be fairly large to start. They're assuming we're going to lose a big population, but if not, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Probably add more servers and split some of the bigger servers up. Obviously, they weren't expecting the population because they've already added 2 new servers in less than like 3 days.
Yeah, and that just happened today, right?
Yeah, that's another thing. So if people don't know, they added just another Eastern server today. The Stalag server, Slag, or whatever they called it, has been added for the PvP East. So they have another server to choose from. They got that opened up at 8 p.m. Eastern, or 8 p.m. Pacific. You were able, or sorry, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. They were able to select their names on that today.
They add another EU. So there's 3 EU PvP servers and there's
They're
5.
only English.
Oh, right.
Like there's
They're all English,
lots, but those original 2 are English and the other ones are different language.
Right.
So they added a 3rd English one.
So that's good,
Message
obviously, for
received.
longevity. Don't believe so.
Who cares about them Europeans?
So yeah, basically it wasn't, I don't know, first day it was pretty bad. It looked like in that Discord alone it was over double Horde to Alliance for a while there, and it wasn't looking good, and with us being low for a while it was looking like our server was a little bit low, but now it's looking very positive. It's getting more full, and we also dodged the massive 4chan following that went to White Main. Like thousands of players all decided that they were going to make meme guilds and troll guilds on 4chan, or from 4chan on White Main. So they all went there, and all the streamers went to the other server, so we didn't have to worry about streamers. We didn't really have to worry about a huge influx of the 4chan group. So overall, I think we did pretty decent in the end.
I'm assuming it won't have a huge impact balance-wise with layering as well, because I gotta think they're gonna have, if it's 3k per layer, it's gonna be what, 1500 Horde, 1500 Alliance. I mean, it's only gonna fuck like if you're on like the highest layer, I guess, in terms
Yeah,
of
you'd
like
assume they'd have a logarithm for figuring that out.
Yeah, I have no idea. They never really talked about how they're gonna do that part. They just kind of said that the size of the layers would be 3,000 roughly, and that it would be for the whole entire world. Does that mean the first 3,000 gets in, like say for instance the first 2,500 people to get in our alliance, and then the next 500 people that get in, or vice versa, or Horde? Do those all just go to the first layer, or do they hold back and spawn a second layer right away and split off some of those alliance? And then, I don't know if they dynamically fill or not, or if you could have superly skewed layers where there could be a massive domination of alliance or massive domination of Horde on that particular layer.
I hope not. That would be super lazy and would kind of not really.
Yeah, you'd hope that they would
Message
put in
received.
something to safeguard against that.
It's just for phase 1, right?
It's said to be just for phase 1, and obviously they're doing things there's a lot of fear mongering on the classic WoW forums, obviously, because that's how people are. A lot of worry people and fear mongering. A lot of them think that they'll never be able to get rid of it, and it was always a ploy that they're going to keep it in forever, and if the server pops don't drop. But a lot of people also said there wouldn't be queues, and that there'd be massive server numbers, and that they were just going to have 50,000 players on the server. But they also said there's going to be queues, and there might be some massive queues, severe queues, if people don't switch off of Herod. Basically, they already said there's going to be severe queues in the post that they made today with their update on how the servers are going. And they basically, I don't know, if they don't sorry, I lost my train of thought, but if they don't basically fix the servers, or if they don't increase the amount of servers, and they just kind of let it ride and bring phase 2 in with the if they bring phase 2 in with still having the layering, it's gonna be a big, I don't know, a big negative to the game. I think they're just going to go ahead and make more servers. They've already went with the old school queues. They're just going to add more servers. They're not going to just say, okay, we're just going to go into phase 2 and keep layering, because world bosses and everything like that would be ruined. And the economy is already going to get ruined in phase 1, but they don't really care a lot about that.
Slide 7?
Anything else in regards to that?
Side note, Big Boy and I have something to say for the 7th slide, first topic. So you know.
Okay. Go ahead.
Alright, we're just gonna lead off. I would like whoever ends up as class leads. We are going, I've already made a sheet for
Bulba. J.
the
Cutler
healers,
Lol joined the Bulba.
Paladins,
J.
Priests,
Cutler Lol
Druids,
joined your channel
to fill
Classic
out
WoW on the server.
for what gear they want during what phase instances are out. To see, for us to divide loot equally and be fair about it. But there are shared items, and I'm going to go through with my healers, and we're going to figure out what items you would be willing to sacrifice. Like, what's your number 1 shared item, right? What's your number 2 shared item? And go through to kind of make it easier for the loot council to decide. Like, give them a smaller pool to decide from, if possible.
You were poked by
I think it would be
Valmanway.
wise for the other classes to go through their shared items as well.
Well, that means that hunters have to go through everything.
You were poked by Bulba.
Correct. Everything is a hunter weapon.
This is true.
I mean, it's just, I think it would make it a lot easier on whoever's on Loot Council and save some time and heartache.
Yeah, we're going to do this for all the classes too, so if you're concerned, like, it's not going to happen, it'll happen for your class as well, because we do want to, like, while we are Loot Council, we also want to like, make sure we have a good representation of what you actually want, like how important things are, because that's one thing that can kind of get overlooked in Loot Council. Make sure it doesn't.
You guys can continue with what you were going to say.
And that concludes it. Oh, okay.
You got more on that slide, man.
Yeah, so next week is our last week for guild meeting. The last, probably like that Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Probably not Monday so much, but that Saturday and Sunday we'll probably be hanging out in TeamSpeak. Welcome to join us in chat or bring up concerns, bring up stuff in Discord, let us know. But we'll talk through the last of our loot, probably add in. Should really add Max in there. I'll take and make a nice looking schedule for all of us, so then we can offline talk to each other who we want to actually group up with. On a side note for groupings, there's some people who you know are not going to be able to play as much as you, and they're critical to leveling together. Like, for instance, if your girlfriend or your wife and you're she's working and I'm not, or something like that, while I still encourage you to play with them, I also encourage you to pick your main level. If you have to level it while they're not there, that's fine. Maybe figure out how to do an alt sort of situation with them, or figure out how to help. If you're within 10 levels, I think you could still help tag for them.
Bulba,
stuff like
J.
that.
Cutler Lol disconnected from your channel Classic
on
WoW
the
from the
opposite end of
server.
the spectrum, don't just because this person's not on their main.
LuckyBox013 disconnected from your channel. Classic Lao from the server.
At the end of the day, we want to have fun again. Some people they have to have that helping hand for a friend or loved one or to get to 60. But then on the other side note, we're all here for everyone. So just because they're leveling on their own, quote unquote, they could still, you could still level with other people in the guild, have a great time. You don't have to stick to that same person you've always leveled with. Sort of we're all in it for the long haul. And we want to help each other out.
Message received.
What are we gonna do when everyone wants the same thing because the game's so min-maxed?
You mean dungeon-wise?
You're gonna have 7 mages wanting Mage Blade first.
Okay, but you gotta think about it this way, Trigger. Alright? You get Mage Blade, you're not necessarily gonna get that next upgrade first. If several Mage Blades haven't dropped, somebody who hasn't gotten one is probably going to get that next upgrade first.
on the server.
So you probably want to pick and choose what upgrades you want when you want them.
Bulba, J Cutler lol joined the server.
Most likely you'll be upgrading a
J
Mage
Cutler
Blade
lol joined your
to
channel.
a
Classic
Fiend
Lao
or
on the server.
Wraith Blade. Depending on drops.
You have the luck of the Mage Blade having a very small drop chance. Oh, not small drop chance, a small drop pool early on.
At the
because of how many
beginning,
items aren't in the game, so you probably will have quite a few of them. But yeah, it really comes down to that. You got to think of the other pieces that you're grabbing as well, the pieces that you really want to pick up. How many big upgrades there are, and which one you want now, which one you want more later. I can understand it for Nax when it comes to those pieces. That's really when it becomes a little bit different, because there isn't something better until they let us know what's happening. So those pieces I can see being different. Lucky for us, we can really handle that a lot later, so we can deal with that more. But there's a lot of pieces here that have upgrades later, and just gotta think of which upgrade you really want first.
But also,
matters more.
Message received.
That does bring up the point. That's one of the main reasons we want to have that alt/main/
message received
raid thing going as soon as possible, because then we have an extra shot of getting the Mage Blade each week, getting the DFT, or getting the.
But yeah, because we can do split MCs, not just small
clearing
group
content enough and fast enough that 90% of the main raid will have all the gear before the next tier. I don't think they're gonna pump out the tiers too quick.
Yeah, I really think we're going to be oversaturated with the gear, to be honest. They're going to give everyone the chance to experience each phase. They're going to allow the majority of the player base to experience that leveling process. So phase 1 loot, I think we're going to have a shit ton of it going in the Blackwing layer. And then that phase 2, they're going to allow everyone to experience Blackwing layer. They're not phase 2 Blackwing layer, but phase 3. They're going to allow everyone to experience Blackwing layer. They're not going to rush Blackwing layer. They're definitely not going to rush Nax, or have that time in between AQ and Nax like they did in retail, because everyone said that was terrible and they didn't get the chance to really experience AQ. Like Verity was saying a lot earlier today, that very few guilds that actually were progressing in Nax ever even killed Cthulhu. So it's you don't have, they're going to allow the more casual-esque player base to complete the content, but it's definitely not going to be based off of that 1%er who cleared it in the first week and say, okay, I want Blackwing layer now. They're not going to cater to that. They're probably going to milk this for as much as they can as well, because the longer they have people playing it, the longer they have subs and more money they can make.
Plan for the long haul, because unlike private servers, we actually plan to make it to the end of Nax. So plan your gear accordingly. We know everything that drops already. There's no reason it can't be planned out.
Yeah, we have a huge advantage. Everything's going to drop. We have a 2-hour window to trade items. We have lots of things we never had back in the day. We can 100%, figure out loot much cleaner and simpler.
And we also have quite a few of people that are already dedicated. We have a solid group. So if this person gets that Mage Blade, it's not going to bounce. Like a private server, you'd be like, Question mark. It's gonna stay.
Yeah.
So it's while it's great to get pieces, at the end of the day, every piece is a bonus for the guild.
And again, keep in mind though, when it comes to big pieces, if we can't say it comes down to 3 people or something, and we can't figure out like something that they've all put in the same effort, they're all just as ready, they're all just deserving, they're all putting up good numbers, they're all doing what they're supposed to do. We're not just gonna be like, okay, we like Trigger more, you get it, and we're just gonna have the 3 of you guys roll, and then the roll will be who you get mad at, not anything other than that, because all 3 of you deserved it.
It could also be like, hey, you 3 are the ones that are going to be rolling. And then, like, depending on that, someone will be like, oh, well, I feel like, Michael put in more effort on this, I'm going to back out for Michael, and then, like, leave it to 2 people instead of 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and also...
Like, that camaraderie could also happen.
So you said Thunder Fury's up?
I'm pretty certain the RC Loot Council add-on is going to get working for Classic.
They had one on Will It Classic, Michael.
Okay, so
I don't know if it's working, but
so,
it was in the correct color.
Yeah, so that's perfect. So if they already have that working, which is a very simple add-on, that's going to be the other tool that allows us to make that decision alongside the spreadsheets we're going to make. But it basically if people don't know what this add-on does, it's a little window. When a piece of loot drops, basically the window will prompt up everyone and it'll give you a list of options like main spec, off spec, like, I think you can change what the buttons say, but you can make it like really want, need, pass, all that kind of stuff. So when you press this button, it doesn't do anything other than alert the people of the Loot Council of your wants of that piece. So if a Mage Blade drops and Trigger really wants he can hit I want it, like main spec, and then we know he really wants it. And Bai could be like, I want it, but like I don't really need it right now, but I'll pass, so he can throw down off spec on that. And then if we can be like, okay, well look, there's 3 people who really want it, a couple people will pass, then we can decide right off of that, like, okay, we'll go through these 3 people, then who's the most deserving of these. Obviously, if we see somebody's like, oh, I don't really want it, and they need an upgrade, we're going to still give them pieces, but it won't be on those huge pieces, and most likely a lot of those pieces will already be handled by the class leader. It'll already be a set piece that's already set to them. A lot of the gear you're going to get is like class-specific upgrades. There are a bunch of pieces like weapons and trinkets and some rings, but the majority of your inner gear is either already been set prioed to a specific class, and so there's not going to be too many instances where we go, that guy passed on the Mage Blade, but he has shit gear, we should give it to him. It's most likely going to be like, if he passed on it, we'll just then go through the other people. But it's a nice little add-on, keeps everything nice and clean and simple, and everyone can basically see what's going on. So we'll definitely be using that if it works.
Message received.
No, we've used DKP for a long time, and the problem with DKP is just like any system, it has its own inherited problems. Yes, DKP is nice, you come, you earn, but you may come and not put in the best effort and still earn. You may, come and bank something for a long, long time and pass on all of these pieces because if you don't spend your 300 DKP on that weapon, then somebody else is going to take it, and you'll never get the upgrade you want, so you pass on the bracers, the gloves, the boots, and everything else for the whole time, so you bank that DKP to get that one piece, and it just causes problems, and you have people colluding. It's easier if you can decide these pieces with basically an adult guild that can work out items, and with the 2-hour window trade after, any decision that's made can easily be worked through if we really feel some huge injustice was made.
If you don't want someone deciding for you, what are you doing here?
Yo, let me use this item in this next fight so I can rank, and then I'll give it back. Can't wait for that.
Message received. Message received. Message
it bonds on
received.
equip?
Message received.
Yeah, you can't wear the piece and stuff. That would be how it is. Like
message
I
received.
figured if you enchanted it, it would bind it, not just regular equip.
Loot trading relics is only going to happen in raids, and it's a 2-hour window, obviously with only people in the raid, and it's so that I don't have to validated. I'm just explaining to him what, like,
Oh, no, it's
I don't
okay,
know
go
how
ahead.
much he knows. And it's only raid loot to smooth over any issues with mislooting or things like that could happen.
Okay, that's not a major.
And we're taking it very serious as well.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, that makes sense.
Like
But
we're gonna be looking at
dungeons.
we're gonna be looking at all the loot. We're gonna be looking at logs.
Message
We're gonna
received.
be inspecting characters. If you have something that you shouldn't have, it's gonna be really obvious.
Message received.
Like, oh, okay. It might be like a once and done sort of sense.
Loot Council's not going to stay one group, by the way, guys. We'll discuss this more next week, but it's going to be a rotating group of people. So you're not going to have one group of people playing favorites.
Loot count. Alita, I'm sure you're probably being semi-serious. Are you being fully serious though?
Yeah. All right, move on, man. I mean, we have so much time to figure this out.
No, it's okay though. It's like, but
Loot Council either, by the way. It was Raiders who wanted the change.
yeah, we've been at DKP for a long time. It was other people that actually talked us into initially talking and thinking about going the Loot Council way. But just from somebody who's been in a Loot Council guild that did work, the only thing that screws over a Loot Council is corrupt officers and corrupt leadership. So essentially, if not insinuating anything, but if you think we're corrupt, then yeah, the loot system won't work and stuff like that. But I can't assure you, but I can say over the years we've been anything but that, and we're going to keep the Loot Council exceptionally transparent, and that's why we put the effort we have in over the last few meetings to go through the loot discussion and make sure everyone knows the prios and make sure that the loot we changed up our actual officer groups for this to have now class leaders, and then each class is going to be ran by a specific class, and then they can work at all their specific loots. The Loot Council is basically going to come in for very few pieces. There'll be 3 people from the guild that will be rotating in to oversee it. They can just watch, see whatever they want to do. All the conversations in Loot Council will be open for people to see or hear, and basically it'll be as open as possible, as to being as fair as possible.
Yeah, we've actually talked about this over the last 4 months now. This isn't like
Message received.
A new thing for most
Last
people.
minute decision. It's a very
But
well thought out.
But we're doing it.
I do understand your qualms, as Loot Councils tend to not work with a lot of groups. But DKP, at the root of it, also has its issues. And basically, a Loot Council will benefit a guild of players that are all putting in a good amount of effort and equivalent effort. DKP will benefit somebody that slacks off and doesn't put in equivalent effort. So we're looking to go on the promotion of that side, where everyone's going to say they're putting in the same effort, and we're going to treat our raid as such. And that way there should be no confusion of favoritism. There's going to be no person that's walking away with a ton of loot all the time. It's going to be fairly distributed because everyone's supposed to be putting in the amount of effort. Everyone's supposed to be trying as hard as they can. Everyone's supposed to be bettering themselves when they can. And so everyone should be equally, basically, open for the piece, and there'll be a lot of slash rolling early on, I suspect, on a lot of the quote-unquote big pieces amongst few people, but it'll come down to a slash roll. It's not going to come down to a, I think this guy gets it, and no, I think this guy should get it.
I know, I already know. Believe me, I know it's
Message
coming.
received.
I don't have my hopes up.
Also, no one really should, I guess I should say this, but I know it's hard to say this, the loot is hard for people to get past. A lot of people play the game for certain things. Some people play for, their DPS, and people play for the clear times and stuff. But I would just like for everyone to, in a little bit part of them, just have the guild in mind for their mindset for everything, and just understand that sometimes the item might be because of just a guild or just a thought process, or just gearing the group up more evenly, and you will get yours. If you're here and you're putting in the effort, I guarantee everybody here is going to be well geared. Everyone's going to have tons of loot. And when it comes to our farming nights, because of the effort people are putting in so that they can maintain their officer, their Loot Council, stance, basically. They're going to be coming to those extra farm nights that we're doing. They're going to be putting the effort in that. From that, we're going to have extra consumables to hand out for people, better raid mats, a lot of the Devil Source sets, probably all of them will be provided by the guild.
Message received.
Pieces that the guild needs that are super expensive, most likely are just going to be provided by everyone putting in the effort for the guild. And so, everything's going to work out long term. And think of the end game. The end game is not Molten Core or Blackwing Lair or AQ40. For a lot of people here, the end game is Nax. And that is what a lot of people want to look forward to. So we're going to gear ourselves as best we can to be best prepared for that. As it's no mistake or no question or no confusion as what's coming. We know every boss, we know every raid, we know all the gear. So we know at the end we need to be ready for that instance. Because everything up to that is not as difficult, essentially, at all.
Hey, I'd just like to say I play the game for when plebs whisper me about how great my gear looks.
And I understand that. Just a little bit of it, just have the guild mindset into it, just understand that maybe sometimes it might just because of the guild and has nothing to do of personal anything.
I play the game so that I can wear purple things. I don't care what color they are as long as they're purple.
It's just mainly I just want whispers.
I'll whisper you.
Purple dresses, purple pants.
Just like making numbers pop out of things' heads. Like, it doesn't matter what I'm doing as long as numbers come out of heads.
All I want is to drop conch and see lots and lots of numbers. I don't care if it's 1s and 2s.
Will the people in the loot council rotation that week be able to give themselves items, or are they?
The people that are in rotation are... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say in loot council, typically you don't vote for yourself. You just say you want the item and let everyone else vote when it's
and step back. Yeah.
So if there's 3 in loot council, the next 2 vote for you?
Oh, no.
So the people that are part of the rotating group aren't necessarily part of the actual loot council per se. Like they can have their opinion and they can say whatever they want, but they're not necessarily going to have a vote because for instance, not everyone that's going to be in that loot council overwatching it may have any idea of who really should be getting that loot because they don't know loot that well, but we want them to be able to see it and to know that there's no funny business going on. The point of having those extra 3 isn't to oversaturate the loot council and have 100 voices. It's mostly just to have 3 people that are not part of it that get to oversee it to make sure that there's no one being like, oh, I don't like this guy. I'm not a big fan of this guy, whatever, or any of that kind of crap. It comes down to straight up, does it meet the criteria? Does the things that they need to have to make it so that they deserve a piece? Do they meet these things? Yes. Okay, and do we look at the other spreadsheets and stuff? Do they have they gotten a ton of loot recently, or haven't got a lot of loot and go, okay, no, they haven't. Okay, great, they're in all this. These 3 people meet this criteria. Okay, you 3 people, you guys roll. There's the first piece handled. It's like it's not going to be anybody's personal feelings about that person. It's going to come down to their performance in raid, their readiness for raid, the effort they put into the guild, and the effort they put into bettering themselves and being the best person they can. And people that come in are a douchebag all the time. People who come in and think that they're top shit, that doesn't mean anything, because even if you put in your effort and all that stuff, you have a terrible attitude and stuff like that, and you're just not nice, or not nice, that's the terrible word, but not good for the raid environment. Don't think you're getting proud and think you're gonna get away with that. We're gonna talk about that stuff. I just want people to come in and put in their best effort, and you'll be eligible for the loot you want, provided you haven't obviously just got a ton of loot. But as long as you're putting in effort, you'll be as entitled for the loot as if you had the DKP for it, basically. Except you'll have the benefit of knowing that everyone will have it.
That we want to have a good raid.
Yes, that is the...
God damn it.
At the end of the day, at the end of the day, though, he's exactly right. At the end of the day, that's all of us agree. We want a good raid. I know he is. And it was a great quote, because at the end of the day, that is what we want, is to have a good raid. Most of us here are raiders. So the loot is an important thing, I get it. But what's more important to me, and what should be more important to everyone else, because that's what's going to get you the loot, is putting in the best effort and trying to be the best player you can be when you come to the raid. Be that top mage, be that top rogue, be that top anything.
Okay.
What?
Can I go smoke a bowl?
You can go smoke a bowl. I'm sorry, this has been progressing on long. This is supposed to be short.
Oh, you're good, man.
But
yeah, RDO.
Is this the
Hey.
first loot council this guild's ever done? Like through your history of private servers and stuff?
of private servers, yeah, this
I've
would
done
be
it
the first.
before, but not with
This
this
is the-
guild.
I've
We're
never
all
done it on a
familiar
private
with
server.
We've not done it together.
I've done it on
Three
retail in a
guilds.
Mythic guild, and the only way it worked was because everyone had.
On TBC? The TBC server?
Yeah, we did it on Warband.
Was it
Yeah,
was
we
it loot
did.
council, or was it we just kind of like just talk
No,
stuff
we
out?
loot cancel because it was such smaller raid sizes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we
If you're
did
like
in-
questioning, I will be supremely fair, and please whisper me and give me gold. Just
Yeah.
kidding.
Ooh, that's what we could do. Gold
But
EKP.
just for instance, just to make people feel better about yourselves, Pro and myself, not that I don't think we've ever shown that kind of greedy side, but Pro and myself are both not in the loot council. We both oversee it. We can both watch the chat or hear the thing, but we're not part of the loot council. We're not going to have say in the loot council. We don't have vetoes in the loot council. Loot council is their own thing, and the reason that they're there is because they know the loot and they know how to distribute the loot and they know how to just talk about the loot that's important and not to get anything else in the way of deciding the loot.
It'll just be nice to have pro tanking again instead of fucking sitting there looting shit.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously, for Banny, all tank gear will be handled by me, and Pro, and yourself, and if Viral is here,
Michael gets
hopefully.
everything.
But all the tank loot will be handled by us four. We will get the piece looted. Pro's going to get it looted to himself, and then we will hold the piece for the 2 hours, and we will talk it out, and we'll hand out the pieces amongst ourselves. And that's kind of how a lot of the other classes will
we'll
handle
probably
it as
know
well.
way ahead of time, Mike.
We might, or we might not.
I mean, depends on what drops though, right?
And I've been in loot councils before where everybody was tight knit and like we were fighting over who's gonna take the damn gear.
That's actually what ended up happening a lot.
It's like you take it. No, you take it. You know, like you're in a tight group and everybody knows each other and everybody's cool with each other and you don't have a bunch of loot whores in the group. Loot council is the best way to deal with it.
Or when you start seeing the officers all of a sudden all getting all the pieces first, or every piece and every last piece that drops, that's when you start seeing problems. And I can guarantee that's not going to happen because the way that we plan on doing it can't happen that way. And I can guarantee a lot of the officers, just because of how that mentality is, I can guarantee a lot will just pass on things they don't really care about it early on anyways, and we know we'll get the piece second or third or fourth, and it's not a big deal really when it comes down to it. Like Val said, I think when it comes to MC, Blackwing Layer, ZG, and AQ40 gear, I think we're going to be more than saturated in it. Every player will have every piece they really want. So I would just hope and pray that you guys can just put that aside a little bit. You don't need the first one. Not saying you don't not to go for the first one, but you don't need the first one. Don't get put out that you didn't get the first one or the second one. Just know that you will get it eventually, and just keep putting in the effort, and you'll get everything you want, basically. And
I love being saturated.
Yeah, absolutely. Saturated loot's sick.
At the end of the day, I will have this all.
Is this gonna be natural saturation or?
This would be natural saturation.
So natural. Absolutely. I will have this all like in a.
The Offspring make a song? Gotta keep them saturated.
No.
Yes.
Is that what it says?
No, that's not what it says.
It says gotta keep them innervated.
Papa Blaze?
Man.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I will have this all like in a forum where we're gonna go back and we're gonna audit it essentially like every month to make sure there's nothing like no one's slipping through the cracks. Make sure there's no one like abusing the system somehow. Like basically to be as fair to the amount of effort that is put in.
And we'll be doing loot meetings probably once a month or every other month or however people deem it we want it. But basically we'll have a meeting just to 6 weeks or however.
If you've seen like our DKP system, like we've gone above and beyond in that. That's going to be the same level of like effort that we put in.
What third-party audit firm are we going to be using?
IRS.
But and again,
is this
in
the
worst absolute case that it doesn't end up working out way down, right at the top, which I can't see that there is always the option to change up to any other thing. But we are going to put the effort in to making sure that this system works and is visibly fair to people. It won't be any, like, it's not like there's any more pieces that drop realistically. So DKP only basically handles, you know, this person able to say I'm going to get it this time, or I can look in 3 weeks from now you're going to get this exact piece. Other than that,
KP
though,
slows the raid down too.
It doesn't do anything else.
And I will be auditing the guild bank.
We know.
No, he's gonna have he actually was working on this add-on before. I don't know if he actually got it working, but it basically every time something went to the guild bank, it uploaded to a web page, and then you could automatically see, like, I don't know if it was in real time or if when he logged out or whatever, but it would show what the guild bank had on it on a website, so that you could go in there and be like, hey, is this in here? I don't know if you finished that. Did you end up getting that?
It's in the works, but kinda.
Well, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of mods.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody's gonna make a guild bank add-on that.
As well as, yeah.
So I wouldn't. Yeah, he's really good at auditing the bank though.
So can we just roll through that loot council thing just one more time?
Oh my
God.
Yeah, it would have been like the 5th time we've done it anyways, but we'll keep doing it. I'm sure it won't be the last time we talk about it in that kind of depth, but anybody that hasn't seen any of the stuff either, well, when it comes to the loot trials and stuff, if you haven't been for the other meetings or haven't seen any of the postings, I'm sure Pro can link that again for us, and you can just go through it and you can see how we have it now divided into, you can see the instance, you can see the pieces that are class specific, and then you can see the pieces that drop off each boss that are the quote unquote loot council pieces. You'll see there's actually not a lot, and a lot of the pieces are going to be handled by your class, amongst your class, with the help of your class leader. Anyways, we should
Mike,
wrap.
just so you know, I wasn't recording any of that shit.
Oh, you can't read that back to me?
Nope. Sorry.
Have we had any decisions made on class leaders yet, or?
Yeah. We have made tentative, basically the ones that I want to go into Classic essentially with, because I do want something to be in place for Classic so that the new players that come in have somebody that they can talk with if they need answers.
We're talking after this meeting, right?
Yeah, after this meeting, we're gonna have. I've already messaged the people, and we're gonna have a meeting tonight. The only thing we haven't figured out is a warlock, as I don't.
Because most of them are new,
Most of them
and
are
or
new.
don't talk frequently in TeamSpeak.
Pick me.
So we'll figure that out. But yeah, we do have a meeting for that. We do have people figured out. These aren't set in stone. That's the main thing that's going to be part of our meeting tonight that I'm going to talk with them. None of this is set in stone by any means. Not only are we going to have loot meetings, but we're also going to have leadership so-and-so quote talks where we'll discuss how you're feeling towards your class leader, your officers, your leadership, and how we can better ourselves or how we can do things. I wasn't joking when I said before that I was going to take on the role of HR. I like helping out people if they have their problems. I don't mind talking to them if they have issues, especially when it comes to these things, and everything would be confidential. And I do want to work out any problems before it becomes a real problem. So if you're finding yourself having an issue with your class leader, if you're having an issue with your healing or your melee officer, or you're having an issue with your guild leader or myself, if you're having a problem with me, by all means, please speak with Pro about it. If you don't feel directly like you want to be able to come and talk to me.
Yeah, and I'll talk to Mike about it.
But I want that, and that's the point. And then you can allow Pro to go through that, and then he can, do whatever he wants to do. But I do want everyone to understand that the class leader position, if it is not working out, if your class leader is not representing your class properly, if you're feeling that they are being, anything or unfair to you or anything like that, I want you to bring it up to me, or you'll bring it up to a class leader if it's about something else, or an officer, but for definitely to me, and we'll talk about it and we'll work it through and see if we can find a remedy for it. And if that means that we have to switch the class leader, if we find it's a big enough issue or it's a more of a unanimous issue, that's going to happen. And none of these people are set in stone, including the officers, including myself, not including Pro. Pro is an angel, and there's nothing we can do about that. So, but basically, I do want everyone to understand that any class leader is only there because they're supposed to lead your class. And if they stop doing that, then they don't serve the purpose anymore and they'll be switched.
Have you considered like role leaders, like have a caster DPS leader in charge of mages and warlocks?
Yeah, that's basically already going to be handled as well. I didn't want to make... So Valman Way is basically the mage class leader. He is the recruitment officer as well. He handles basically all the recruitment. He's been doing that for a while. He posts on all of our... Any form we need him to post on, he's been doing it on Reddit and everything like that, and actively handling applications and things like that. He's also going to basically be the range, quote-unquote, coordinator that would talk between the warlocks and the mages. But when it comes down to the nitty-gritties, when it comes down to certain things, the mages are going to handle themselves when it comes to that, and the warlocks are going to handle themselves when it comes to their warlock stuff. Like, he's not going to be dictating who's going to be putting up a curse, but he could dictate on, per se, on how many people are going to be in for casters on a certain fight. If we need to, this many, he can dictate that, and then it's up to the class leader to facilitate that number. It's going to be the same thing with the melee officer, which is GSO, and also the warrior class leader. And he'll basically, if he says, okay, on this particular fight, we really need to have stacked melee, or we need to have less melee, or whatever it may be, or this many rogues, or this many warriors, then it'll be up to the class leader to facilitate to those numbers that are required. And then it'll be the same for other things. So any person of the quote-unquote melee, healing, or ranged officers will have that, I don't want to say power, but they'll basically have that say to call, like, that's what we need.
Responsibility.
Yeah, but they also have the responsibility that if the range screw up, he's the person that's gonna, or she's the person that's gonna basically be taking the blame for that being the problem. And then
If you fuck up, I'm the one that gets yelled at, alright, guys? Don't fuck up.
The class leaders, the main role of the class leader, they're going to handle each class, and each class is represented by the person that's actually playing in the class. No one is representing any class that's not playing the current class. So every class is going to be represented, and basically what their job is going to be is the loot, for a class-specific loot, basically handling who's going to be in or out for a fight if there's subs of a specific class. So if I say I need a rogue in or I need a rogue out, it's going to be up to, currently it's going to be Dwops, is going to need to say this person needs to sit, or this person needs to come in, and they're going to discuss that in their own rogue chat. They're going to keep their own things to themselves, and they'll basically handle everything more seamless without having me have to call over TeamSpeak, calling up 5 or 6 different names or 7 different names to swap out. It'll all just be discussed simply, and they'll handle it on the next boss or whenever it needs to happen. There will obviously be rotating of people if we don't have enough to facilitate an alt raid and we want to get extra people in, especially during Molten Core. There's no need to think about doing speed runs early on. So if we have open spots, and I say, okay, let's get this guy in, he needs loot on this to give him a chance, we'll get them in, things like that. We'll rotate people in if we have to, and then it'll be up to the class leader to handle their class and making sure that stuff happens. So they don't have a huge amount of roles other than just making sure that their class is being handled and basically listened to and having a voice, so that the paladins are heard and the hunters are heard. There's a voice, and they can speak in the officer chat. They can say what their class needs, or what the problem is going on, or we don't feel this is being fairly handled, or anything like that. You have a voice, you have a say, without having to hear 100 people. So we'll have our meeting tonight with the people, and they'll be the people tentatively going in to Classic as during the leveling process, and maybe into the raiding process as well. And we'll see how it works out with them.
Being said, we still do need a warlock,
which might not end up getting filled until later.
I nominate Azuria.
I don't think Azuria's playing with us.
Azuria, I don't believe, is playing with us.
Oh, rip, okay.
I think
Yep.
we have Marissa
Never
and
mind.
Targ, and they haven't shown up to any meetings.
Targ's not coming.
Targ bailed on us for Papa Blaze.
Alright, so we have Marissa.
My vote is barbecue.
As of now, the only Chubbins is...
So
when did Azuria leave? Just recently, must have.
He just didn't come back. He didn't leave. He necessarily. He just
told me.
hasn't come back.
I thought Alep was going to be the leader.
He told me a couple weeks ago.
Did he? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, he was, the one
He
that
was
went
really
to a
good, that's a
PvE
shame.
realm, right?
Yeah, he wants to go PvE.
So is Alep not
What?
going to be class lead for Warlocks then?
It's not
No, unfortunately,
it's
Alep-
normal.
Epic Psycho is, I think.
Oh, okay.
I thought he was the hunter leader.
No, I thought Epic Psycho was taking over as Guildmaster.
Maybe I was him the whole time.
Whoa! Oh, shit.
Don't argue with me, Pronator.
Is there anything else we need to discuss in the actual meeting? Though, is there anything else? Is there any more questions? If anyone everyone seems to be chatted.
I have like an Av question, sort of.
Go for it.
I'm gonna be going as Shadow Priest. Should I be listening to like the priest class leader or like someone else? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're gonna listen to. In this case, it'll be Big Boy Noise. So you're going to listen to him. But you're a special snowflake. Yeah, I have spoke with him already a little bit. But yeah, you're a special snowflake when it comes to things.
That's what I was wondering, because I know things are a little bit different.
Yeah, you'll be basically listening to him. He'll tell you what you need to know per se, but you're gonna get told a whole different. Like you get your own little loot world.
I get my own little square.
Yeah, you definitely get your own little square.
This is your pixel. Stand on it and don't move.
But yeah, so we'll make sure that you're happy with it and that you understand or you find it fair. And if you don't like the way it goes, we can't change it because it's just not fair to change it. So if you're not down with it, then just play regular priest kind of thing. Yeah, good night, Timster. Yeah, I think meeting's definitely. I always call it over if people want to head up, but if anyone has more questions, by all means, ask away.
Thank you for answering.
Oh, of course, dude. Anybody else? Anything else?
Doing it?
Balda? Really? Nothing? Bide?
What do we got? 11 days?
I got a questions and answers section.
Sorry, Arlita?
We're on the questions Q&A part.
Yeah, this is the Q&A part.
All right. So hypothetically, like, if you've been spitting into like people's food for a while and they thought it was just running really good cheese, and then you find out that you have herpes, do you really like obligated to tell them?
I don't think you can transfer herpes through saliva.
Right.
So no.
So I don't think you're obligated. No.
I did have one thing to add though.
Sure.
For some of us who are going to be a little bit behind the curve when we first start, if you will keep some of the things that you normally would vendor, such as like the Westfall stew recipes and shit like that, if you would keep that and send to the bank, that would really kind of help us get caught up. You don't have to by any means, but if you do, it'd be great.
Yeah, and there's another thing, the bag of marbles. Apparently, that may work on raid bosses. Some people say it does. Some people say they don't know.
Put it in your bank and forget about it.
But that bag of marbles, you get really early on, it has 10 charges on it. Could be really useful for raid bosses and gold shard. So when you get it, it's really early. Just don't vendor that and just throw that in your guild bank, or sorry, in your personal bank, and just leave that there forever.
On the same note as that, the Light of a Loon, I just would not do the quest, because it's kind of out the way anyway, and just save that until we decide what we want it for.
Yeah, that's a fun piece too.
That's a one-time use item, if you don't know what it is, of 10 seconds of invulnerability where you can attack.
But it's a one-time, you can only get the potion one time. But you can hold it forever.
If you just want to save yourself a bag slot, just don't do the quest.
But yeah, we'll add those kind of items to the list of items that we want people to hold on and collect, as well as like some early on greens. Like, well, obviously we'll be sending a bunch to the enchanter, but eventually they'll exceed the area of that enchant. We'll hold some of those pieces as well for some people that are behind when they first come back. And still build some early greens.
People that are behind, like, do we have a plan in place, or is there like something that we can think of to do to help? Like,
we can help by
as soon as they get to Alderman, like I said, every dungeon after Alderman, or starting at Alderman Plus, has 6 or more quests that they can do, so we can easily run them through all that. That's about a level each. There's that Demon quest chain in Blasted Lands, that's about a whole thing, and then you can just help them do all their quests. That should speed them up a good amount. And then while you're getting a pre-bis, you can start doing that before 60.
Right. And it's got to be within reason, though.
Or save them from horde if they're getting ganked repeatedly.
Like, everyone needs to make sure that they're leveling as quick as they can, putting as much effort as possible into leveling, because at the end of the day, when we do decide that we're going to get our raid going, which we were talking tentatively that it would be 3 weeks in, so that would be, I believe, that's September. Be September 11th. Would
Oh
be
boy.
the
Too soon.
would be the first raid. Would be the plan. So basically, like it will. If there's 40 people or close to 40 people ready for that time, we're gonna be going in. Like I don't know. Like I want to say we can go back and help people out, but the best thing we can do to help people would be, we can funnel some older gear back. There's some greens that you don't need. We can help them out that way. But we really can't have that many people with the numbers that we're supposed to be getting. I know we're getting about 35 to 40 now in here, but there's still a lot more people that are still said that they're going to be coming back for Classic, and they might just not be making the meetings. But if that's the case, you might find yourself not having a spot initially if you're that far behind. But don't think that means that you're never going to make it in. That just means that, the first couple of weeks you may not have a spot. You can earn the spot again. It's going to come down to performance as well, especially for DPS classes. So if you can put the numbers up, it is what it is. But we can only help so much. You can't sabotage your own leveling. But that doesn't mean once you're 60 or when you're in the high 50s that you shouldn't be helping other people. But I'm talking like when you're in the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, 45s, 50s area, like low 50s, like you really shouldn't be hurting your own leveling to go help somebody that isn't able or not putting in the same amount of effort or time. Not saying that they aren't trying to, but the ones that aren't trying or can't try, you can't sabotage yourself.
Grouping up at 30 to help the warriors get their new whirlwind axe really good upgrade to help them level faster would also be really kind to do.
Right, and it's a really nice piece, but if they can't get that piece, there is a quest that you can pick up, and then you can go do the Scarlet Monastery, and it's 4 more levels higher, but you'll still get an equivalent basic axe from it. So there's things if you're early at 30 and you can't wait, if for instance, for myself, I'm planning on absolutely no lifing it initially, and if I'm ahead, I'm not going to stop other people or try and get other people to come, if we're all level 30s, and be like, hey, let's go do a really hard quest for our level and hold us all back and slow us down for something that's going to help me level faster but not necessarily help anyone else. Now if it's a whole group of warriors, we all 5 of us go down and we try and do something that's a little bit different, but I'm not going to hold anyone else back, and I don't think anyone else should either. But if other people are willing to help, once mages are in their 30s or higher 40 area and they're farming that Highland stuff, if they get the extra sets of the crescents, if they want to send those off to the warriors that are catching up, that'd be perfect and that's appreciated. But you can't expect people to help you do anything, and you shouldn't get mad at them or do anything like that. You should just focus on your best, just trying to get stuff done. You can, I know warriors can level without it. It's a huge piece though. It's a massive help. If it's able to be obtained, it's an incredible help. But no one should feel like they need to hold up themselves to do it. But once you're higher level though, you need to be helping people catch up, especially early. Don't just be that guy that's okay, well, I'm gonna go pug shit and go get my best in slot and let me get my epic mount first, or do any of that kind of garbage. No, you're helping people that are in their high 50s as well get caught up and do guild stuff. You shouldn't be doing 5-mans. If you're doing 5-mans in a pug, you're doing it wrong. You should be helping and doing 5-mans with a guild.
Ideally, as soon as anyone gets to 56, you go right into farming Devil Saw with everyone else and you'll just level up to 60 farming Devil Saw if we can lock it down.
Yeah, and people just have to have that mentality and that understanding that you can't be that guy that sits there and I'm level 60 in 5 days, where's everyone else? I'm talking.
I'll be farming good boy points for Loot Council.
Well, that's just it. That's what we want from the donations and from the extra raid nights. We want people to farm those good boy points that DKP does not provide by having a loot council, because he's absolutely right. Those things are 100% a factor. The effort you put into the guild is 100% counted towards your loot. So if you're that guy that's yeah, I don't really want to go to an eco farm, when all the melee are going to an eco farm, you're I'm not going to be that guy. Well, they're going to fucking remember it when it comes down to that piece between these people. Okay, well, everyone else was there, but this guy didn't put the effort into farm for everybody. And it's just like little things like that, putting in the extra effort. And these eco farms are going to still be on raid nights, and they're going to be on.
I generally run an extra one on the weekend.
Or on the weekends, but whenever they are. But like the mandatory ones, the ones during our raid times, so like we're not going to be using 3 days to raid, like the actual raid content. Those extra days are going to be utilized for farming stuff. But like eco farming might be a thing. We might be like, hey, all the melee need to go eco farm, so everyone goes down and we just farm out hundreds because there's lots of them that people don't need that you can't use. But if you guys all came, you could hand off basically a month's worth of ecos we could farm out in one night if the whole raid came down. Little things like that will make farming not so tedious and mind-numbing and painful if we make it more of a guild event, and then it counts towards your loot. Not in the sense that you get DKP for it, but you get recognition for helping. And then that way you don't sit there and be like, well, I want 5 or 10 or monetary value. The only value is, did they help? Yes. And that's all you had to worry about.
Need Monday until like Cthulhu progression.
There's something that a lot of people haven't looked at yet. I hope this saved the page I was on. The rating requirements tab. If you look at the amount of resources everybody needs per night, when it comes down to melee, they have a lot more than we do. Melee and tanks have a lot more than everybody else does. So doing something like eco farming would really help the guild and those players in the long run.
Yeah. Okay, so is there any more questions? Because I don't want to cut anyone short, but I do want to get to the guild or the officer little meeting thing here before it gets too late.
Not a question, but I watched a shaman video earlier, and they said that most bosses that are warrior class, which are most of them, have a standardized armor value of either 3,700 or 3,100 something, and it's possible to get most bosses in the game to 0 armor for physical DPS.
And they know that because they've fought the level 60 bosses?
I don't know how they know it. They explained it in the video.
Data mine, probably.
Oh, we'll figure it out when we get there.
But yeah, like, we'll have to Angora little thing.
But they also include Annihilator too.
Crystal Force.
Any other questions?
It's going to be great. 11 days.
Alright. If there's no other questions and everyone's free to disperse or hide, or really appreciate everyone that came out tonight. It was a great turnout. Thank you, Risa. And look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow, next week. And then we're almost there, boys and girls.
That's so close. But yeah, I'll see you guys next week.
Easy, man.
Later.